Hello, chavs. You also like photography like I do? I take a lot of pictures on film. No, that's wrong. I do not take any pictures on film. I just like to buy these film cameras and never use them. So the other day I thought, hey, I should check out, see if these things can even take pictures, you know? So I have a whole series of Olympus OM collections, like this one here. This is the OM1. I thought, hey, let's put a roll of film in them. And as cheap as I am, I just took one roll of film and kind of like put it in there. And I had to use another piece of film to kind of like, lick it and just to get it out, right? So, and then put it into another camera and count how many I've taken pictures of and go, and close the lid and take the photos. And I finally succeeded in testing all of my cameras. And I thought, hey, while I'm at it, I'll take some digital pictures, right? And put them right next to it and see what the difference is. So let's have a look. Let's start by the first photo. So now this photo was taken with the OM4. So the OM4 is a beautiful camera. It's got this black body, it's got spot metering, and you can spot the highlights and the lowlights. It's got this automatic exposure. I just wanted to see how it works. But because it was the start of the film, I didn't wind it the same way on all cameras. But I took pictures of these teapots so we can have a look. So this is taken with my Fujifilm X-Pro2 with that beautiful 35 1.4. Okay, so this is a film camera. And if we zoom in, okay, you see there's some beautiful, highlights here. There's some lens thing happening. And the window's right at the top there so that I can see what effect it has on film. Because, when you got the light behind, it reacts differently. So as I was looking at the scene, I was like, okay, now let's start with the OM1. So this is the OM1. I didn't use this lens. This lens has a bit of fungus in there, but this is a beautiful camera. What it does is actually, a lot of these Olympuses have this thing where if I take the lens up, there's a thing that appears that kind of gauges the light and then the photo is taken, which is pretty cool. Really cool engineering. Anyway, back to the story. So we've got, now if we zoom in here, you got beautiful noise here, very grainy, because maybe this is caused by my film. But as you can see, we've got some focus here, but everything else is pretty much blown out. Now this portion is a double exposure by the OM4 that I was taking a photo with. So let's go back to modern camera and then modern camera, film camera, modern camera, film camera. Now because of the double exposure, I think it's gotten a bit red, but that's a very kind of average film photo. You have the red shadows for some reason. And then we have, again, another double exposure, but still this is the OM1. The double exposure is right here. It's pretty cool. I told you I was being cheap and I did this. But again, the OM1 has this beautiful film look. It's amazing. It's like cinema. And then I went through this. So I did not know this if this works because you have no idea, especially when these lights go out. These LEDs have stopped working. So these are kind of the light meter that tells you how much light there is in there. And this is supposed to have a f1.7, which really I gravitated towards. But this picture is probably not taken at 1.7. It's a bit lower than that because it adjusts the settings to the light. So it's got an automatic adjustment. So it is taken lower, but I was so surprised at the clarity of this lens, the sharpness, so beautifully sharp. Oh, seriously surprised. It was beautiful. So we go down, we've got the Yashica MG1, which again looks just like the Electro 35, and it's got a 2.8 lens. And then when we zoom in, we can see that, again, it's beautifully sharp. Well, the focus is mostly here, so we can see that's pretty sharp. But you get a lot of this glare from the sun. Now, if we go down further, so I would take one from eye level, and then I would put it on the tripod and take another one, just to see the difference if you have a light source on the top corner. And again, beautifully sharp. Look at these details. It's really nice and sharp. But you have this beautiful grain all over the photo. It's just beautiful. And I was thinking, wow, I did not think much of that camera. You can see it here. I did not think much of this camera. And to take this beautiful picture, I was really surprised. Then I was taking pictures with the Canonette QL17, as you can see here. That's the camera. And for some reason, it didn't adjust for the lighting the way the other cameras did. For some reason, it was, looking at the highlights, but it really, it really closed the aperture down. So everything here is in focus. These guys are in focus, and some of these things in the front are in focus as well. But what strikes me most is that the center of the lens, the coating's a bit blue, and I'm not sure if it's reaction to this glass here, or the center of the lens does have a little blue in it, or you can see this in that photo, but the center of my photo has this blue dot as well. So I don't know what causes that, or is the lens broken or what. But then we get to the OM2, and it's, oh my God, I'm using an f1.4 lens here. So it's a 50 millimeter 1.4. And that lens open wide, you get a lot of this bloom in or halation or whatever they call it, which really, I was really surprised, because like nowadays, these lenses that have really wide aperture like this Fujifilm f1.0 lens, they are really good, really sharp, and I'm just finding out that that lenses back in the day, if they have a big aperture, there was some sacrifice there, and that sacrifice is what you can see here. And because it's not a convex lens, it's not a concave lens, it's a convex lens. So there's a bulge in front, so you get a lot of that sun glare right onto the lens. So it's open wide, you get glare, you get halation, you get the whole lot. Then I tried like standing up and taking a picture with the OM2. So the OM2 has been tested by a friend of mine. She took it out on a holiday. I was so fascinated by the photos she took. It was amazing. But look at this. Like if you're not shooting into the light and crazy ideas, you are getting these really beautiful cinematic photos. It's just beautiful. Now, this one is the one that surprised me the most. I forgot to label it, of course. This is the OM10. The OM10 did a wonderful job at like gauging the light just right, because it's got automatic exposure. And this is what it gave me. Look at this beautifully sharp image. And then we go down, and this is like a modern camera. So right now this is shot on the X-Pro2 again with that 50 mil. And this is the OM10. I was like, look at the metering here. It's spot on. Love it. And again, you get that nice red shift. So again, I was, toying with the digital camera to just see what kind of a composition I can get. And, the OM10 just nails it. Look at that. OM10, X-Pro2. OM10, X-Pro2. OM10, X-Pro2. OM10, X-Pro2. And you see, this is a f1.4 lens. You get a lot of details in the shadows here, but everything is just butter here. It's gone. It's smoothed out. You get a little bit of bubble bokeh over here, but beautiful. I'm one of my most impressive camera that I did not think so was the OM10, and I had heard really good things about it. So it's like, okay, let's take pictures of stuff around the house. Again, fantastic exposure. Look at that. And it's cool to see because, like, you know, it gets a bunch of detail. Yes, it's a full frame. Yes, I use the 1.4 lens, so, you know, only his arm here is in focus. But even that is pretty sharp. I mean, let's forget the film grain here. That's the digital photo. Again, it gets the eyes sharp. And this is manual focus. I was trying to focus on something and missed focus, but beautiful. Then we move on to the OM4. And the OM4 is one of the most advanced film cameras I have. I love that thing. It's got beautiful LCD readout at the bottom, like the readout of the light and everything. It looks like, you know, it looks high tech. Like when you look through it, like I can imagine if before digital cameras were a thing and you had the OM4, you were like, I'm from the future. But then again, that didn't do a good job at metering too, because, you know, it's still not as good as the OM10. This is the OM4. It's blurry. What's in focus? I don't know. The back of this thing over here. Right? Well done, OM10. And then again, I tried to focus on this plane here where the teacups were. Again, super blurry foreground, super blurry background. You get some stuff in focus. But what I'm wondering is that it's still a bit dark. Could have done a better job at metering. So I thought, okay, maybe it's that scene that had problems. Let's take it around the house and take some photos of things around the house. Again, like if you're using a normal sense, the OM4 also does a great job. Look at that. Beautiful textures, beautiful, like all this. Like when stuff goes out of focus, it instantly, the light just starts dancing. You know, like that does not happen with digital. Let me show you the digital. So, you know, it's out of focus. It's a bit blurry. Yeah, right. But then the film camera, oh, it's out of focus. Oh, the light starts dancing. I don't know what's happening here. It's beautiful. Like this guy's out of focus and it's like 2 centimeters behind it. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I thought, wow. But just to have this difference and to study the color shifts that happen, I'm gonna try and make a film simulation mode to just kind of, you know, capture this difference. And again, you know, when you take a picture of all these cameras that I was testing, so this was the Canonette here, you know, the OM4, the Electro 35. So then we go back to OM1, and again, I'm testing the digital camera versus so this digital camera now has a 50mm lens on it. I wanted to see if that the mirroring would change or anything. But the OM1, being like one of the oldest OM cameras, because the OM1, it's a beautiful camera. Okay, but it takes really good photos. I was so surprised. And then I took the lens from the OM1 and I put it on the X-Pro2. So I was like, okay, let's just have the same lens. So I have an adapter. And what I did is I took the lens and put it on this. So that's the same lens that shot this. Now it's on a digital camera and shot this. So you can see the same kind of halation that's happening on the highlights is also happening here. There's this beautiful glow on everything. It's like you got a pre-installed mist filter on there, man. Whew. So again, like if you're using the same lenses on a digital camera, so now I'm using the same lens that was on here. So this is the 1.8 lens. I was using the 1.4 lens. I put that on the X-Pro2 there, and this is what I got. Now we are very used to having these, new lenses that that are made for a 40 megapixel camera that can resolve the resolution, right? But when you put an old lens on a new camera, you do get that same feel. Like if I applied some grain on this and made the shadows just a bit more red, you would have thought that this is film. Yeah, so if I come in here and let's say add a lot of grain to this. Grain. Boom. I just want this part to be red. Nothing else. Can I just double click it? Thank you very much. All right, so we'll get more contrast in this one. Push the blacks down. Highlights, we'll push the whites. Exposure a bit. Blacks down again. We're still not there. There's so much more contrast than that. All right, so now we're able to emulate film exactly. But again, there's some weird sharpness there that's not here. You can see that using a film lens, we can actually pretty much emulate film, right? Just by understanding where the shadows lie. But again, I'm not getting that, like the grain is way sharper here. Of course, if I spend more time on this, I can really recreate that effect here. It's just extra work, but the moment you get it down, you save it as a filter and you've got yourself a film look. So that was a little look into like what the difference between modern cameras and film cameras are. Because, if you're taking pictures with a film camera lens on a digital camera, you get something like this. But, shooting on modern lenses, you get really sharp results like that. That is something to kind of think about when we're thinking about film and what that means really. It's the lens that make it film. Of course, the sensor as being, full frame also helps. And, I just took these photos just to be like, okay, and when it's dark, you get this, what is magenta red tone. And oh, this was one of my cameras that had a bad light leak. So yeah, the culprit is right there. This guy over here, the Pentax, whatever it is, cheapest camera I have. It has a huge light leak, so it created these situations. And then I took these with the OM4 again. I was so surprised of like just how different that looks. It's like here there is some light. We don't know where it's coming from. For some reason, the couch is reflecting so much light now, where it's not at all happening here. You can see its effect on the cameras, but the highlights on the couch kind of like disappear, and somehow that bounce light from fabric looks different in film. I don't know what's going on. So these are still the light leaks from that bad camera. I thought I'd share all this with you. I hope that was fun. See you guys next time, whenever that may be. So have you subscribed then? Well, what are you waiting for? An invitation? Press it, man. I just love doing accents. Who doesn't? Anyway.